I'm in Warhammer The Old World group, which is obviously just a Facebook group, which, you know, is Facebook, so fair enough. Someone sent me a video yesterday, right? And I didn't really want to talk about it, but I'll just, like, reference some points from this video. So, on Monday, we spoke about me using the Necrosphinx, right? And I've got the data sheet here, just so we can have a little reminder. The Necrosphinx this is his profile. He's equipped with Cleaving Blades, Decapitating Strike, and Heavy Armor. He has Cleaving Blades, he has Decapitating Strike. If you watch Monday's stream, you'll have a quick rundown. But essentially, you have 5 attacks. When you choose a unit, you choose an equipment piece to a fight with. As written, you can use 6 attacks with Decapitating Strike. The intention is probably not that, but as written, yes, you definitely can. Because it doesn't say single, it doesn't say only, it says you make 1 additional, which means you take 5 attacks, bam, I want to go Decapitating Strike. 5 attacks with Decapitating Strike, you can make an additional attack with it. Okay? That was the conversation we had on Monday. And I said, on reflection, probably not how it's supposed to be played. However, I discussed it with my opponent before every game. Everyone pretty much accepted it. There was only one person who didn't accept it. It was my round 3 opponent. He was like, I played Tomb Kings. I've never read that before. That's so good. I should probably get a Necrosphinx. I was like, yeah, it's really good. And then proceeded to put his army in front of the Necrosphinx, and I killed his army with the Necrosphinx and then complained about me afterwards. Turns out he has his own YouTube channel. I'm not going to like reference it. I'm not going to say where it is. I would really appreciate it if you didn't search out for it. And if you do, fine, go watch it, but do not like attack this person. I do not care. That is just like something that you need to be aware of, okay? I'm annoyed about it, but that is not for you to be annoyed about it. It's just for me to be annoyed about it and you to make me feel better about it, okay? That's just something I want to, like, make clear. The video goes on to say, like, we didn't have the conversation until it got into combat, and then the person refers to the fact that we did have the conversation during deployment, but kind of, like, shushes himself, but doesn't clip it out the video. He also complained about terrain and then said that he likes to play raw or rules as written. And I was playing rules as written. But then also said I was a rules lawyer. And then it started to insinuate that I was cheating, or that I was like only happy to play with intention when I was playing and not when he was playing, when really I don't really know how the game works. And I was asking him a lot of questions about what I can do. And that annoyed me. However, I do think this might have spurred on this post this morning from Mr. Connor on Facebook. Mr. Connor, I'm an arsehole on Facebook. He left a post in the Warhammer Old World Facebook group that goes as follows. Just watch someone's roundup and they mention people are playing the Necrosphinx as being able to use all of his attacks as its one option of the single attack at strength 10, which is not single attack, by the way. You're just making that up. Surely no one is that word that was okay on TV in the 80s and 90s. Take your blue stickers and park close to the front door at Bunnings and buy some plants. They'll be your only mates if that's the kind of crap you pull, because it doesn't say I can't. Is this guy calling me an R word? Is this guy calling me an ableist slur for having a normal rules understanding, a normal reading comprehension? All right. Remember, the rules are written to say you can. If they don't say you can, then you can't. They also don't say you can't, you dickhead. Fantasy is so bad. I also agree. But this really fucked me off this morning, because there's nothing better than waking up, checking Facebook, getting notification about top posts that week, and then they're about me calling me a slur. Anyway, that was fucking dumb. And then the comments go off as well. There's lots of people who don't like me in this comment section. So I thought, now I've got my important bit out, we can go through and have a laugh at the comments. Why don't we? First, Rob Thorneagle, based, okay? He's like, secondly, you're referring to me. That was me. And I spoke about it on stream. Rob Thorneagle, Mikey's a complete and utter tool. Literally the worst person on YouTube. Poo emoji. Perhaps, though I consider it a very tame post. I don't know. Referring to someone as a slur, saying a word that was okay during the 80s and 90s is the same as just saying it, because people know what you're referring to. What you could have done is call me an idiot, called me a fool, said I couldn't read, anything like that. But saying this as a word you can't say is the same as saying it, because we all know what you mean. All right? Chose to forego on brevity so as to convey just the right amount of annoyance. Bloody love Mikey, he's ace. Shite background music and can be a bit baity, but overall awesome. Agreed with the music, Mr. AI bro. You know what? I think I do need a new Twitter banner. Because my current banner is this guy is actually quite vile. His social media is a shit show. Maybe that needs an update. That'll do. How's that? Chat, how's that look? Mikey's a complete and utter tool. Literally the worst person on YouTube. Breathing to just to convey the right amount of annoyance. I'm not butthurt by this, clearly. Let's read more. Let's do more. Mikey always has and always will be an idiot, says Nick Cambridge. Oh, look, another guy that doesn't post his real face. Okay. Mikey from Hellstorm is complete and utter tool. Best avoided. Who's liked it? Will, L. Cormack, Richard Miller, Andrew Darovic, and Timothy Slade. Don't forget you're on a public platform, you idiots. You know you're on a public platform. People can see this, including the person you're insulting. How can you be that stupid? So this is my friend Chris Scoffer. We played the other night. Raw versus Rye. Just need an FAQ or a clarification from the TA before the event starts. This is the thing. Like, it is rules as intended versus rules as written. Rules as written, the rules aren't wrong. Okay. The rules work exactly how I say they work, because that's how the rules are wrote down. Just because you don't like it, all right, the intention might be that you're supposed to get one attack. And on reflection, now actually playing more than 3 games of fantasy, I think it's probably right. I think it's probably supposed to be one attack. And on stream on Monday, I said it's probably supposed to be one attack, because obviously Summit that's 200 points that has 6 strength 10 attacks is a bit insane. However, when you're at a tournament, right, and also when you're playing the game, you can kind of go rules as intended versus rules as written. However, most people are going to be playing rules as written because that's what's wrote on the piece of paper. Is it intended that a giant Chaos Dragon, and you could say Tomb King Dragon as well, you know, I'm just using the Chaos Dragon as an example. A giant Chaos Dragon has got a guy on top, right, up here with a tiny sword. He can still hit you, by the way, over the dragon. But also because he's wearing a cool helmet, you have to reroll hit rolls against the dragon. That doesn't really make sense. I don't think that's intended. I also don't think the Armor of Ages is intended on the Tomb King Dragon that forces you to reroll wounds. Because the guy is 20 feet into the air on top of a fucking dragon. Why am I rerolling wounds against the dragon? The dragon can't use his shield, so why can he use his armor? That doesn't make any sense. There's loads of things like that you can be like, well, rules as intended. That's probably not what they intended, to give Armor of Ages onto a dragon so you have to reroll wounds against it, even though you're not really hitting the armor, you're hitting the dragon, because you're using the toughness of the dragon, using the save of the dragon. So why is the armor making a difference, right? It shouldn't. Same as the Chaos Dragon, why does the helmet make a difference when he's up there out of the way and I'm fighting a dragon on the floor? It doesn't make any sense, all right? But rules as written, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. That's how the rules are worded. Just because you don't like this one doesn't mean you can't like this one, but you can like the rest of them when you drag out your Chaos fucking Dragon. All right? It doesn't make any sense. And it winds me up so much because it's a tournament, right? It is a competitive event. It's the first event of its kind in the UK. Granted, everybody's going to get something wrong. That is totally fine and totally understandable. But what isn't okay is for someone to get something wrong, realize their mistakes, then be insinuated a cheater afterwards, and then someone come out with an ableist slur in a Facebook group without tagging them. You could have at least had the decency to tag me so it didn't come up as a highlighted post. You dickhead. All right, I think I've made my point. We can't pick and choose what's rules as written and what's rules as intended. When we are coming to a table, we are under a social contract that we are going to follow the same rules in the book. The rules as intended aren't in the book. They are the rules as written because that's the rule book, because they wrote the rules book down to be a thing that we are supposed to follow. Okay? It's so annoying. It's so frustrating. Listen, you can't just make it up as you go along because you're running ogres, so everything that the Necrosphinx looks like dies. That's not my fault. Anyway, brand new game, we are meant to discover what's busted. True. I literally made a career out of pointing out rules are shit, right? It is not my fault. They don't write the rules clearly, okay? But wait, they are writing the rules clearly. They might not have intended it to be that clear, but it is clear. So you can't have a go at someone and call them a slur just because you don't like the way they read it, because the way they read it is perfectly fine. Step 1.1 of combat is choose a unit and choose an equipment piece. It has 2 pieces of equipment, the cleaving blades and the decapitating strike. I agree on reflection that the decapitating strike is very strong and the intention is probably to make 1 attack, but that's not how it's worded. Choose a number of attacks, choose a weapon, roll the weapon, make an additional attack. It doesn't say single. It doesn't say only. It's 1 additional. If I buy 5 apples and I get 1 additional, I get 6. I don't get 1 and 5 oranges, do I? Anyway, sorry for shouting. It's not you I'm shouting at. I'm shouting at the general world, the general population. So clear Mikey knows he's wrong, but can't back down now. It doesn't matter if I think I'm wrong. That's how the rules are wrote down. It doesn't matter if I think it's wrong. The rules are right. The rules say you make an additional attack. Choose a piece of equipment. I'll choose the decapitating strike. Nothing on this page or in the core rules says you can't do that. Now, that might not be intended, but we're in a tournament. You play the rules as they're wrote down. We don't make up as we go along. Especially with the third weapon that says you may make 1 additional attack. Exactly. On the same page, it says, in combat, this model may choose to make 1 of its attacks each turn with this weapon. That makes sense. You can make 1 attack, not additional. The notes are very different, and this one's very clear. Make an additional attack. If it was a special rule, which it's not, it would also make sense. It's a piece of equipment. If you're equipped, if this had hand weapon and great weapon, right, you would go 5 attacks. Oh, which one do I want to go with? I want to go with the great weapon. Then you go to the great weapon profile and follow it. It's very clear that it is allowed to be 5 attacks with additional 1, 6. It's not my fault it's broken. It's Games Workshop's fault. Anyway, let's see if there's more. There are many things that need to be addressed in this game. If things like this need to be clarified, however, it'll be a bigger document than the core rulebook. Doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter how big the document is. The document could be 500 pages for all I care. The document could be 5,000 pages. But at least you've had an answer. And then everyone is playing the same game. No, it just proves that people who interpret rules in bad faith and or are rather bad at reading comprehension exist. I'm not going to rant about this again. But if he reads it any other way, he can't read. Agreed. Anyone that reads the rules thinking they get all their attacks, 7 attacks, purposefully misreading the profile. Purposefully. This is the problem. The great thing about Old World is it's nostalgia bait, right? The great thing is we all had an Old World army when we were a kid, and now Games Workshop wants us to buy a new one, okay? It's great fun. We love old models with 9,000 mold lines, all right? We all love to see it. We all love putting our models on little trays and going, get him into combat. Oh, you lost combat, run away. I'm going to cut you down. It's very fun, right? The problem is it is not fantasy, all right? People are coming into this game thinking it's 9th edition fantasy. It is not 9th edition fantasy. It's a very different game. Also, what you have to be aware of is the fact that it borrows a lot of language from fantasy, but it's very different, but it's also so stuck in its ways. Games Workshop killed fantasy because it was a shit game that wasn't selling, all right? Let's be real. That's why they killed it. No one was playing fantasy because it was a bad game. They made Age of Sigmar to be a better game. Now, initially, it wasn't a better game. It was probably like a sideways move, but eventually became a better game, all right? What we have to remember is they developed the fantasy rules into a non-rank and flank like war game, okay? They took a lot of the old ideas, such as having leaders give out buff. They got rid of like attaching characters. They got rid of challenges. They got rid of magical items that were all insane. They got rid of all of that because they wanted to make a slimmed down, easier, faster paced game. But then they went, oh, Old World will sell really well in 2024, so we'll bring it back out. But they haven't come in with like the new idea of how they write things. It feels like they've gone 5 steps backwards, which is very bizarre because we're in the golden age of GW, whereas whilst the balance isn't always perfect, they are on the ball at updating things. They're on the ball with releasing balance patches. They're on the ball with like updating points, with new armies, with new books. They're smashing things out. And as much as we complain, as much as we say something's really broken, it's really annoying to play in a tournament, as much as we say, you know, oh, well, that rule doesn't work as it, like the tower one. You gain assault if you're guided. You can never become guided if you advance because you don't have the assault weapon, so you're not eligible. They will fix it. They will sort it. But back then, they didn't, okay? The only people who fixed the game were independent tournament organizers that just went, well, this is what we're doing. We're probably the biggest in Europe or the biggest in America, so everyone just followed along with them and just followed that. Everyone was just like sheep to the big person with the most people turned up at one day or one weekend. We'll just follow what they do. They've gone back to that, and that's the problem. They haven't gone, right, we've learned so much with Age of Sigmar and 40k in the past 10 years. We should apply that to our old game. All they've done is gone, we'll use AP. 30k is another example. It's like, here's a 7th edition game. We use AP now rather than using just ignore armor saves. We use rend. We reduce armors rather than just ignoring them. And it feels like that's the only thing they've picked up in the writing, which is very frustrating. Reminder, Fantasy got outsold by a box of 10 Marines. That's true. The tactical squad, the original tactical squad, which you can still buy today, outsold 8th edition Fantasy. It sold more and made more money than the entire game. One box of models. Everybody rapidly find out the old world was not actually that great. No, the game's shit. The game is shit, but it's fun. It's fun. You get those hero hammer moments, I find, that you don't get in other games. You get those real hero hammer of like, oh, well, if this goes off, if I win this combat by 1 because I've got a little doot-doot, you'll run away and I'll cut you down and stuff like that. It's very fun. But the game itself is very badly written. It's quite specific that you can make 1 additional attack with this profile. If I buy 5 apples... dude, this is a complete flog, best ignored. Is a flog an insult? Is flog an insult? What does it mean? Is this some grognard shit? It doesn't say only 1 more. He's technically correct, but he knew what he was doing. I did know what I was doing. I was following the rules, Daniel. Does it say 1 attack or does it say 1 or more? Why would anything say 1 or more attack? What does this mean? You're just making rules up as you go along. The funny thing is, other fantasy folk have said this is the most solid edition of Warhammer in years. It's not. It's not. It's such a broken edition. You select equipment to fight with. You do. Nothing says he can't choose the bigly weapon, the decapitating weapon. The note just says he gets an extra attack. Not that he can only make 1 attack. Using the rules provided he's right. Obviously wrong at the same time, and he knew it. But he tried to get away with it anyways. I didn't try to get away with it. This is bullshit. Fuck you, Daniel. How about that? How about you take 1 and go fuck yourself with it, Daniel? I tried to get away with it every time I discussed it with my opponent beforehand. But no one was angry for him getting the rules wrong. They were upset that he took advantage of an unclear rule that was intended otherwise. You don't know what the intention is. It doesn't say make 1 initial attack, but the intention is this. It doesn't say that. You're coping. You see, you're like, did you get a judge ruling about this? No, because I didn't have an issue until after the game. All right. I didn't get an issue. There was no issue. I played my first opponent. The Necrosphinx died turn 1. I played my second opponent, showed him the rules, and he was like, wow. And then I proceeded to chop him up, but I lost. The reason this has come up is because my opponent played really badly into a unit that's very good at killing his, and then lost, and then went online and started saying that I was a cheater. That's why this has happened. I spoke to the judges afterwards, after the game, because he was then complaining about me to other players. I spoke to other players there, and they were like, well, it's probably only 1. And I said, okay, well, it doesn't say that. And they're like, yeah, it doesn't say that. And I spoke to the TO, and he said, yeah, that is pretty strong. We're going to probably have to comp that. And I'm like, all right. Right, Mikey, mental health break. No more Facebook. No, I'm going back in, Nige. I'm going back in. What else have they said about me? I think it's because that was the way it was in 8th. Maybe. It's not the same game. It's been 10 years. This is why you should stick to 40k. At least you only get shit from one community. Why not both? Daniel, what after fucking himself, says, upon looking at it now, it seems clear. Rules intended. You get 1 attack. You don't know what rules intended is. It's just a made-up word. Rules as written versus rules as intended will be the stupidest argument ever. All right. You can only ever play something as it's wrote on the page. All right. Unless you play with your mates, you're like, this is a bit bullshit. All right, yeah, fair. Whatever. But in a tournament, you have to play how it's wrote down in the book. Because if you're not doing that, you are cheating. But Raw, you can choose which weapon you attack with at the start of combat, then you attack the number of times equal to your attack characteristic. The note section should be made more clear. Also true. May make one additional attack each turn with this. What do you mean? What do you mean? May make one additional. I'm going to say it again. If I've got 5 apples, I will leave with 6. I will not leave with 5 oranges and 1 apple. I'll have 6. I think it's a little bit confusing to list a Decapitate Strike as equipment instead of just making it a special rule, as it's more like a special move with the equipped cleavers and a separate weapon. Other than that, Raw is quite clear to me. The Sphinx got 5 attacks in one profile with the cleavers. It may perform 1 additional attack with the Decapitate Strike. If you spend the points, you may perform 1 additional 6 attacks with this thing. It's confusing, but it's very clear. Like, that's 2 contradicting sentences, one after the other. It's using the Necrosphinx rule piecemeal instead of as a whole. 1 additional attack is quite obviously meant as 1 attack of this particular type on top of the other 5 attacks, which have to be made with the cleaving blades. It doesn't say that anywhere! It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. Please. Please read. It doesn't say make 1 and only 1. It says make an additional edition. That's added together. That's not separate. Add them together. Add them together. 5 plus an additional is 6. It's not 5 and 1. So here's the thing. I totally agree with you. That's not how I think the rule should work. To me, it's very obvious it's only 1 attack. However, calling someone an idiot for having a different interpretation is a bit weird. He didn't call me an idiot. He called me the R word. All right? Okay? He insinuated the R word. You're publicly trying to make a clown out of someone for having a different opinion about certain rules. So that happens when FAQ drops you appear to be wrong. Should he make a YouTube video mentioning you and how wrong you turned out to be? I should! I should do that! I think it's best to accept it's a new rule set. Some things just happen to be a bit unclear. Once again, I agree with you. This case seems pretty clear, but calling out people who feel different seems a bit overdramatic. To be fair, coming from other rules definitions in 40k, they have even more specific wording. For instance, in 9th edition, the chainsword had pretty much the same wording as the decapitating strike, but it was in fact on top of the attacks. Base Manuel! Manuel! Let's go! Fucking let's go! Whereas something like the Force Halberd clearly said you cannot make more than 1 attack with this weapon. That makes sense! Manuel! Base Manuel! With his background, the wording of the weapon is poorly written and can be interpreted both ways. Both correct in terms of raw. Rules intended is nothing a single player can decide. That's where ultimately the judge's TOG makes... Base Manuel! Base Manuel! Let's go! Ah, I think this post has been deleted, so let's not refresh chat. However, they can't delete my live stream, so this will live on. I see the logic. He gets 1 additional attack with his weapon, and since he's armed with this weapon, all his attacks can use that. Now, the AI, bro, is caught up. He said he was wrong a minute ago. Where is he? There he is. I doubt that's the intention. I won't be using it as such. I will argue opponent who tries in any situation 100% cutthroat competitive. Chat, it's a tournament that I was at, by the way. Just to remind you all, it was a tournament, by the way. Make 5 decapitate strikes and you get to make another free one. Wow, so good. 10 out of 10 best unit in the game. It is. You should use it. It's very good. All forms of doing is open to blah, blah, blah brigade. They only read the first part and ignore the second part because they hope their opponents haven't read up. I handed him the book! I gave him the book and signed him! But chat! Let's get some 07s-ish chat because this post has been deleted. Let's get some Hellstorm 7s in chat as the post goes bye-bye. Leave page. Goodbye, dickhead who uses slurs. Let's post some Hellstorm 07s in chat and say goodbye. Good night, Colin. You're a prick.